Hello friends, good morning. This session is on law, justice and globalization. The law, justice is not limited to one area or one location or one country. Particularly when growing the globalization concept is good, where the barriers are trying to be limited. So we should understand what exactly the law, justice orders across the globe. So this is one of the important law subject. I thought I'll just give some of my views based on the information I gathered. First, we should understand what is the law and what is the justice. The concept of the law and justice, they are fundamental in understanding how the societies they govern by themselves, they maintain the orders and ensure the fairness and equity. Importance is the fairness and equity, and they are very closely related. So each has a different meaning, but the bonding is also equally strong between the law and justice. Now, what is the law? Generally, law is to regulate the human behavior and maintain the order in the society. The main purpose of the law is to provide a structured framework for a social behavior and interaction. Based on that, a set of standards are designed. What are the rights and what are the obligations and what are the established mechanisms to enforce these rules and regulations are the main purpose why a law is to be made. And the enforcement of the law is equally important. Unless it is enforced, obviously the very purpose of the law is not served. So we need to have certain regulatory bodies, enforcement agencies, so that they can take care of the enforcement and they can understand where are the violations are there and what are the consequences and what are the punitive measures for those who violate the law. And law is also flexible because today's law may not be the tomorrow's law. Otherwise, today's unlaw may not be tomorrow's law. What are the reasons? The law is flexible and it changes with the times and the requirements of the society. So we have to understand how far it can be flexible and how far it has to be rigid. Now coming back to the justice. The justice is nothing but a concept of the fairness, equity and application of moral principles and the treatment of the individuals as well as the groups in the society. The main purpose of the justice is to see all individuals are treated impartially with equitability regardless of their background, social status and all other components of the human nature. So now, how many types of the justice are there? We should understand. Just to give a short, it is a DPRRI, that is a distributive justice. That means it is a fair allocation of the resources and benefits to all sections of the society, including the burdens. It adds to the economic disparities and promotes how you can maintain with the equality. That is a distributive system. Then another justice is the procedural justice. In this procedural justice, we will be focusing on the fair processes and procedures, how a legal administration matter has to take care of these things with unbiasedness, transparent decision making, and should be consistent with the law. Then another justice is a retributive justice, which means a punishment for doing the wrong, identifying the persons who have done violated the law or who have done something wrong and how they should be punished. It should be the proportionate and appropriate to the particular whatever the wrongdoing the particular person has carried out. That is a retributive justice system. Then the restorative justice. In restorative justice, focus will be on repairing the people and how a person can be changed to a better personality. So how you wanted to ensure that the people shed away their negative things, shed away their wrongdoings and come into the normal society with a normal living. And it has to be taken into the accountability what are the procedures and methods of approaching the people who have done the wrongdoing, how they can be reformed. That is a restorative justice. So thus laws are ideally designed to uphold the principles of the justice. Law and justice are not separate, they are interplayed with each other. So we have to ensure that the laws and justice are combinedly ensure the best of the society with the morality as well as the equality in the society to protect the rights of the individuals and the groups. So now the law and justice, the main important of the study of the law and justice is to provide a structured framework for the society to function, while the justice is focusing on the ethical and moral consideration of the fairness and equity in the application of the laws in societal interaction. The relationship between the law and justice is very complex, as changing the desires, changing the interests, changing the rules as per the society, changing the values. They are all the part of the law and justice. With the dynamics of changes, it is very difficult to fix a particular law and clear a particular justice related issues. But still, we have to understand what is the bonding and what are the variables and what are the constants in the law and justice relation. Now, who will make the law? How the law is made? The power of the lawmaking is enforced with the government authorities. See, there are three government authorities. One is the legislative, executive and judicial. The functions of the legislative is the one who create the law. How the process of the lawmaking is done? Law is proposed, initiated by the who are the lawmakers, and they put up the bills in the parliament or in the legislature, and ultimately they are debated, discussed, and finally that particular bill is made into act once the authority, in the context of India, it is the President of India who finally signs the bill. It becomes a law. And once the law is made, then the very role of the executive is to enforce the law. And if there are any violations, then the question of the judiciary will come into the picture. So in the legislative branch, elected representatives, they create, amend and repeal the law. Law-making process is that you propose, initiate, debate the bills through presentation in the House and approval. Based on the recommendation of the House, the approval authority makes the bill into an enacted law. With respect to the executive branches, law implementation, once laws are passed by the legislation, is the responsibility of the executive. President is the executive head also, and other lawmakers also can be executive heads in certain cases. So it is the responsibility of all the executive heads to ensure that whatever the laws are made are abide by the citizens, abide by the residents, abide by the people of the country, and any violation has to be brought to the picture. Necessary punitive actions has to be taken, and the punitive actions enforcement cannot directly take the action. It has to go through a process of judiciary system. In the judiciary, general judiciary, once courts are considered as the judiciary benches, and once the case has come to the courts, then they take the decisions based on the what exactly is the law and what exactly the enforcement, what exactly the violation, and whether is it within the constitutional framework or it is beyond the constitutional, like ultra virus. All those things the judiciary will take care, and then they will decide based on their review, and they imposes the penalties whatever they are required. So now the judiciary system involves two segments. One is the judges, other one is the lawyers. Of course, there are commissions and committees also there, and law schools also become a part of the judicial process. So judges, the role of the judges is to ensure the decision taking based on the facts, based on the law, based on the constitution. Then the lawyers are the one who helps the general public to support the actions that they are not in violation of the law or not in violation of the constitution. The lawyers are also called the attorneys or advocates. And lawyers are supposed to be advocating within the framework of the constitution and framework of the law, and they also should maintain their legal ethics also. To bring the lawyers, the formal education is required, and based on the education, there are certain law schools are there. There is a curriculum is there. There is a bar exam is there. How a lawyer is ultimately developed into a full-fledged advocate to argue the case or support a client in the court of law. There are certain other bodies which are we call as the commissions and committees. The very purpose of the commission and committee, they are established to specific area to discuss a justice or a legal related issues. These are some of the things with respect to the human rights, with respect to the conduct of the boards, sentencing of the commissions, some ethics committee is there. Their main function is to conduct the research, hold the hearings and develop the reports and policy recommendations. The commissions and committees related to judiciary, the role is to recommend the cases or recommend their whatever the decision. They cannot directly take any decision as such. Now, let us see what type of a justice we have. Again, there is a acronym is DRR So, distributive justice. Here, in the case of a distributive justice, the concern is to fair allocation of all the resources and benefits and burdens. It's not only benefits, even the burdens to the society equally to all the people, so that there will be economic and social equality. In retributive justice, as it suggests, is a punishment to the wrongdoers. How the punishment is there and what is the proportionate to the punishment. In the retributive justice, it is taken. In the restorative justice always aims for reconciling the human relationship and repairing the particular thing, so that the whoever has a wrongdoer will reform himself, and he'll try to see that such things will not happen again. And the main purpose is to see what are the root causes for the crime that has committed by the wrongdoer and how to correct them. That is one of the important. Like a person who is very hunger, he cannot survive, he can go and steal a bread. How far the theft, which is considered a crime as per the penal section, should be taken into the consideration to punish. So these are all the things we have to consider. Then the social justice. The social justice is the principle of the social justice. It advocates various policies and practices to reduce the disparities in the society. Disparities may be with respect to the education, with respect to the health care, or with respect to the income, or any such things, the backwardness. That's what the social justice will ensure. Then the economic justice. Purely economic justice is the principle of fair wages. What is the work and how much is the wages the person is getting, and what are the economic opportunities these people will have. So even the constitution, under the directive principles, it says that everybody should get the equal justice in the economy also, opportunities to earn the money and make their lives better. That is what one of the requirement. So we have environmental justice. In environmental justice, it is how to protect the environment, how the environmental equalities and inequalities are there, which are the for example, there are areas always there will be floods, there are areas always there will be the drought, and there are areas where forestation is some of the issues are there. So we need to consider the environmental and how the bonding between the human being or the persons residing there and environment, the balance has to be maintained, so that the pollutions and environmental hazards can be avoided under the environmental justice. Now, global justice. Here the global justice is normally, when we talk about the justice law enforcement, it is limited to the boundaries of a country, because each country has their own law, their own regulations and their own rules. But when we are talking about the global justice, various global forums have come, and we have an international court of justice for the various countries of the members of the UNO. So in global justice, we have to see certain things which are globally applicable, like a human rights and a cooperation between one country to other country. Global inequalities, like one country is starving for the food and the other country is throwing the extra food into the oceans. So we have to consider those things when we are talking about the global justice. Now, compensatory justice. This is as simple as that if some person has done a wrong, because of the wrong, there are certain people who has undergone that as a victim, how much compensation has to be given. Whether should be given by the government or the same person who has done the wrong. These are all the issues that have been discussed or that has to be discussed in the compensatory justice. Now, let us now discuss what is the perspective on the social justice. There are several perspectives are there. Perspective means how you look into this one, how you develop a system to make a best social justice. That is the perspectives we have to think. There are certain perspectives. Let us start with the egalitarian perspective. Egalitarian perspective means achieving the high degree of the equality in the society. The emphasis will be the distribution of the resources, opportunities and benefits to all individuals regardless of their background. Another perspective is the libertarian perspective. In the libertarian perspective, you have a different perspectives on the justice, social justice. They emphasize the individual liberty. An individual can work, individual can prosper without any direct intervention or with a limited intervention of the government. The purpose of the libertarian is to encourage the people who work hard legally and they earn the money. So the persons who are not doing anything in the distributive system, we say that even that person has to get the bunch of the money or resources from the person who works hard. But in libertarian, it discourages such a things and it encourages the individual liberty to take their interests of their own prosperity interests. Now the Rawlsian is a Rawlsian perspective. Actually, there is a professor called John Rawls, and John Rawls proposed this concept of the Rawlsian perspective. This is justice as a fairness. What is the fairness in the justice? How far the justice is concerned? So these are all considered the their main focus is the fairness to the justice. And then we have a utilitarian perspective. In utilitarian perspective, the emphasis is overall happiness or the welfare of the society. How the society is perspective, it is overall you can think. You can think in a not micro level but a macro level how the society is happy, how the justice involved various policies and actions so that the maximum people get the maximum benefits in the utilitarian perspective. Another type of a perspective is the intersectional perspective. In intersectional perspective, the feminists and social justice advocates argue that social justice must consider the intersection of the multiple forms of oppression, including the race, gender, sexual orientation and more. See, here the main issue is the intersectional means we have a different type of a people who are either suppressed classes, women and children. These are all the things, the marginalized group are there. So you have to consider the prospect of these sections while we are talking about the justice. Then we have a global perspective. As I said, the global perspective is think globally, work individually but think globally. Ultimately, everybody in the globe across these countries, they need to have a global justice. That is the main thing. Whether be it is a climatic issue, be it is a poverty issues, be it a human rights violations or any other issues. And international cooperation and solidarity is essential for a global perspective. Now the critical theory of the perspective. This is always the theorists, they think that how you examine the power structure in the social hierarchies and how the social justice involves in the challenging and dismantling the oppressive systems in the society or oppressive institutions in the society. That is what the critical theory perspective. The focus on the social activism will be there, organizing, community organizing, systematic change in the societies, they have to be considered. So these are all with respect to the law, justice, types of the justice and the types of the perspectives. Now there are several leaders who work for the law, justice, both within the nation and across the humanity, across the globe. Some of the great personalities who have worked in this are Mahatma Gandhi. Mahatma Gandhi's ideas on the social justice, caste, untouchability, village communities, self-governance, trusteeship theory, Sarvodaya, Antyodaya, they are all the great concept, and some of the concepts even they are true for today. Maybe some of the concepts may not be really applicable with the change of technology and countries going towards the capitalistic or economic powers. But ultimately we have to think how the human society as a whole can develop. Mahatma Gandhi thought about his ideology, what is the social justice. He is a staunch advocate of a social justice, emphasizing the importance of treating all individuals with equal respect and the dignity. And he is vehemently opposed the caste system, particularly in Hindu society, the caste system which was prevailing. He said the caste system has to be it should not be given any importance, and because of the caste system there should not be any discrimination among the people. And untouchability is one of the important thing which he emphasized, that untouchability is a crime. It is a crime against it. He thinks the untouchability is not only crime against human society, crime against the God, and crime against everyone in the society. So untouchability has to be eradicated in total. In fact, the movement Mahatma Gandhi started is a Harijan movement, where socially, particularly backward areas with respect to the caste and all those things, they wanted to uplift those people to the all the marginalized society people. Mahatma Gandhi wanted to uplift and make them equal within the Hindu society, so that the reforms can be done in the Hindu society, taking the greatest advantage of the Hindu philosophies, at the same time removing the obstacles to those who are suffering because of some of the practices. And another Gandhian principle is the village communities, because he always thought that self-sufficiency, self-reliance is one of the important thing for the societies to develop, and village communities with a very limited sources and all that, they should be given enough freedom so that they realize their self-reliance and self-sufficiency, so that they can be given a form. In fact, the panchayati system later developed with the villages. This is one of the directive principles of the state policy. Now, Gandhiji also thought about the Swadeshi movement. As everybody knows, he is one of the pioneers in the independence struggle. So he has fought to such extent that avoiding the foreign goods and foreign cloths and all those things, and foreign imports, and strengthen the village economies, Khadi movement. These are some of the things in the Swadeshi movement Mahatma Gandhi has done. And Swaraj is a major principles, where we wanted to have a concept of the Swaraj, that is a self-governance. Mahatma Gandhi also emphasized on the decentralization of the power. Like we said, the village communities. So the power, if it is centralized, there is every possibility of the misuse and corruption. So once you decentralize with a certain controls, automatically it will give a better decision making to the community and better life they enjoy. Another theory of Mahatma Gandhi is trusteeship theory. He believes that everyone who is having the enough health is considered to be a trustee, not the owner. So the trustee means he can do only to extent that what is required for the society, and not in the selfish motive. So that is the trusteeship theory. Mahatma Gandhi, he encouraged the trusteeship theory, which in fact many of the richest people during the time also agreed with this. Then non-accumulation of the wealth. So here we cannot directly say in today's concept the people are measured with the wealth. Without wealth they are not considered also. Today we are talking about the Bill Gates are world richest people, and only they are considered as the top players, and appointment to a richest person is easier than the appointment of a needy with the government officers, even ministers and all that. Mahatma Gandhi said accumulation of the health should be avoided. Simple reason is that once I start accumulating others, that money will come from the some other sources who are in needy. Anyway, this is again a concept that we have to think to how far we have to balance this accumulation. Particularly when you legally earn the money and pay the taxes, then those taxes are utilized for the society, betterment of the society. Another principle of the Gandhian is Sarvodaya, means it is a welfare of all. Sarvodaya is means all the vulnerable society, societies of the vulnerable people of the society should be given a prioritization, and their welfare and weaker sections welfare has to be considered under the Sarvodaya. That is the welfare for all. Now coming back to the non-violence, Sarvodaya was closely associated with the principles of non-violence also. That is the Ahimsa. Antyodaya, the movement of the Antyodaya is to upliftment of the last person. Antya means the last. The last person has to see the dawn. That is exactly Antodaya. So Gandhi's philosophy on this is to see that whoever is the last person in the society who is marginalized has to be uplifted to see the light of the dawn. So poverty alleviation is also one of the principles of the Gandhiji, where he says the Antyodaya should also ensure that alleviation of the poverty. Now another social transformer and architect of the Indian Constitution, Dr. BR Ambedkar. BR Ambedkar were well known across the globe as the architect of the Indian Constitution and a person who has done a great to the society, particularly with abolition towards abolition of the caste system and abolition of untouchability, like Gandhiji. In fact, Ambedkar has analyzed very much what is the caste system in the country, particularly in India, and how this caste system has developed a discrimination among the people. He has made a study and he has recommended certain things. In fact, annihilation of the caste, some of the in the society, some of the backward castes or the castes which are considered as the downtrodden castes, there was a total support for the complete abolition of this caste system. And untouchability is one of the main thing. Like Gandhiji, Ambedkar has also developed this untouchability concept and he struggled for that. And finally, Ambedkar decided to have a social transformation. And one of the main reason Ambedkar, which he felt that Hindu society during the time is having a lot of evils like a caste system and all that, to show his opposition, being a born Hindu, and this Ambedkar has converted to the Buddhism to show that he is against the caste system in the Hindu. And some of the very great initiatives done by Ambedkar is he advocated the education and empowerment of the Dalit communities. And he strongly believed that only the education will bring and upbring the downtrodden communities so that they can get a social transformation in all. Ambedkar's one of the thing is the destruction of Hinduism. In sense, Ambedkar was a very strong critic because Hinduism is getting self-destruction because it has a lot of caste system which has a discriminatory. So he fought that there should be significant reforms have to be done in the Hindu system. And one of the reasons why he converted to Buddhism is also rejection of the some of the symbolic resistance of the Hinduism, whatever the Hinduism considered. And political safeguard. Ambedkar wanted to give a certain reservations and political safeguard to the downtrodden and Dalits, so that every class will be representing in the lawmaking and everybody gets a equal opportunity, so that a particular reservation has to be considered for socially and downtrodden people who are there under the oppression segment. And Ambedkar also given an economic vision how the state socialism should be there. So he said socialism means to address the economic disparities, not the total communist way, but you have to address the economic disparities. He argued that one should play active role in reducing the economic inequality through land reforms, labor rights and social welfare policies. It's not totally against the capitalistic or at the same time is not against the communistic but socialistic pattern. He said there should be law and justice in reducing the economic equality through various reforms. And Ambedkar also feels the equal opportunity should be provided irrespective of the social and economic background. Another social reformer which we can study is Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia. In fact, Ram Manohar Lohia is slightly his ideologies are slightly different from Dr. Ambedkar and Mahatma Gandhiji. Particularly, he believes in certain philosophies like a socialism, Marxism, and he has done a lot of analysis with respect to the capitalism and small unit missions. He is very much influential political. He's also participated in the freedom struggle. At the same time, he wanted to bring a lot of changes in the society. One of his concept is the socialism, which is committed to economic equality and social justice. he is also influenced by the Karl Marx ideas, and where the class struggle is one of the main thing that you can challenge the social change. I mean, you can at least struggle for the social change through a class struggle, which is which is a consideration of the Marxist ideology. And he is a critic of a concentration of the money, which is means a capitalistic this one, the economic inequality and exploitation is done by the capitalistic thinking, so he is against the capitalism. And he has given the state intervention, where one of the important thing in the state intervention is to regulate the and control the capitalistic excesses. He is not totally against the capitalists, but he wanted certain controls and regulations against the capitalists who try to access and concentrate the money, avoiding the what are the exploitations they do it towards the other people. And in his small unit mission, the vision is the economic vision.